loses its way, the shepherd must kill the bull that leads them astray.
Fall leaf?
Come on over. It's okay. Sit down.
So, you don't like the hotel?
Beds give me nightmares. I'm guessing right about now, you couldn't find a Dixie coonskin with an Ohio hooker holding your prick and showing you the way.
What?
You're a riddle with no cheese to maze through. Don't you get it?
No. I'm the cock of the mouse or something?
I put my story in your limp Brit hands, and you're not going to fail me. You think I was just blowing my own bagpipe in that meeting? You must put those boys in the shit.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You want to make your movie or not?
Yes, I do.
All right. You get some of those little videotape type cameras. We take them out there and we put them in the trees in different angles. Then you give me and that pyromaniac Cody all the smoke bombs, charges, explosives, detonators you got. Then we take those boys up there. Me and Cody, we could light up that jungle. So those lily dick actors would be in their pants and screaming for their mammies. They'd be begging for a body bag if it means a ride home.
I could do it. I could shoot the whole thing guerrilla style. Gritty, dirty. Get them away from their helpers and licking assistants. Put them in the real shit. With real life in their eyes. Real fear. Real emotions. Yes, four-leaf, yes.
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 Take him off the grid.
That's pretty good, though.
I gotta say,
you guys did a good job.
That was rough. I think I just figured out that I cannot do Nick Nolte.
Except when you said mammies.
That said, his voice sounds like sandpaper, like
That's
being
smoked.
Yeah, this is just
Smoked sandpaper.
scorched sandpaper.
No,
is his
sandpaper
voice.
that's been smoking a pack a day.
Welcome to Franchise Killer, a podcast where we pick movie franchises or wannabe franchises, review them film by film, and see where things went wrong. All right. I am Reese. You are.
David.
And you are.
Irina.
And you are.
Noah.
And some guy over in a mysterious
Yonder.
Yeah, mysterious yonder. Who's that out there?
This is AJ.
AJ. And today we are talking about Tropic Thunder. Directed by...
Wait,
Yep.
I watched Platoon.
That'll probably work.
This should be close enough, right?
Just, you'll be fine. You'll be
Pretty much got it.
It's the same.
It's pretty similar.
Tom Cruise is basically Charlie Sheen.
So this movie was directed by Ben Stiller, who also directed Zoolander 1 and 2, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, Cable Guy, and has starred in many, many, many comedies. We all know him. Stars, of course, Ben Stiller, Robert Downey Jr., Jack Black, Steve Coogan, Jay Baruchel, Danny McBride, Brandon T. Jackson, Nick Nolte, Bill Hader, Matthew McConaughey, and Tom Cruise.
Take a breath there, man.
Yeah,
Quite a few people in that.
The screenplay by Justin Theroux, Ben Stiller, and Ethan Cohen. So, have y'all seen this movie?
No.
No? None of it? Actually, before I do that, on this podcast, we talk about movie franchises, as I already stated. We will go through the story paragraph by paragraph. Then we will talk about the franchise as a whole and why this movie either succeeded or failed. Did I say we'd review the movie? Yeah. We also.
Yes.
Yeah. We also.
Wait, is that what we do here?
Yeah. We'll also review the movie.
Oh, that's cool.
And before we get into this, what's y'all's history with this movie, David?
Oh, we go way back.
Well, I actually didn't think I was going to like this movie when I first saw what it was. Comedy and Vietnam War movie, I was not exactly vibing with it, so I didn't watch it.
What?
No, I honestly didn't think I was going to like it, so I didn't watch it. And
That's
then
dumb.
In the theaters, you mean?
Yes, and then I was at a party once that they had it on in the background, and I was like, and I didn't actually sit down and watch it. And then I don't know if you made me watch it, Irina, or like
Yeah,
I watched
we watched it together, I think.
No, we did at one point, but I meant more like, okay,
The first time.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was the first time. But then I sat down and watched it, and I absolutely loved it, I should say, honestly.
Dude.
Yeah. Wait, how long after it came out was that?
At least 8 or 10 years, somewhere in there.
Wow. So you only
8
saw
or
it
10,
just
but not 9.
8 to 10 years, I think we can assume, is what he meant by that.
I mean, other than like somewhere in between where it was on in the background.
Got it.
Like when I sat down and really focused on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, It was a long
so
time
5
after.
years ago, roughly, is when you first saw this movie.
Yes.
Wow, interesting. Irina.
So I actually can probably speak for all of us siblings right here because we watched it on vacation when it was in theaters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, part of our family went to see a different movie at the time. What was it? Was it? Oh, I think it might have been Narnia,
Really?
right? Like there was the second one.
I don't remember.
It's either that
I
or
did.
Winnie
I did
the
not
Pooh
see.
has
Because
I did not
I
see.
remember,
Oh yeah, we split off.
yeah, we split
Yeah,
off.
we did split off.
And so it was just Reese, Noah, and I, and we had watched this movie by ourselves in the theater, and
it was
we could
amazing.
not stop laughing.
You just opened up a lost
yeah,
part of my memory.
yeah.
Like-
So we were on our way back home from vacation. I don't know if it was Disney World or something, but we just loved watching this movie. It was so good.
Yeah, I remember this being like, oh, this is the first time we're not with the parents watching a rated R movie in the
Somehow I
theater.
managed to get in.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, AJ, but
actually-
I'm feeling a little left out.
No, but we actually were hoping that nobody would check to see how old Noah was because I'm pretty sure you weren't old enough.
You
to
don't look
watch
old enough now,
a
Noah.
rated R
Well,
film.
I think we thought about that and
you,
realized, well, maybe if there's trouble, we'll just get the parents and they could come over
Yeah.
and say,
I
hey,
thought they bought
blah,
our
blah, blah.
tickets.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
think
not
they-
the
I'm pretty
situation?
sure they
Oh,
did.
maybe.
But I think I was
I
just
don't
really
remember well
nervous.
enough.
Maybe they'll come in and check our
Yeah,
our
back when you felt like a
Oh
rebel.
yeah, that might have been, that
Yeah,
might have
I
been
remember
it.
it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the options at that theater weren't that great either. I want to
No,
say
they
that that animated Clone Wars movie was in theaters as well at the time, and that was one of our options to pick from. And it was like, no thanks. I don't know why that sticks out in my mind as something
Yeah.
that was.
Anyway, we watched it first time, all three of us together
Yeah.
in theaters.
All right, so that you put us under an umbrella. How about you, AJ? Had you seen this movie before?
So I'll probably get grilled for this, but no, I had not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, before this at all?
So I've always heard about this movie. It's one of the movies that people are always like, you have to see this. Like, how come you haven't seen this? What's wrong with you? Clearly there is something wrong with me, I guess. Maybe I had my part of my brain surgically removed, but
I think
Yeah.
because it wasn't about ships or anything having to do
Boats or-
with
Yeah.
boats.
there's no book to base it on, I guess.
Well, I'm not going to put words. Well, I'm going to put words in your mouth. Well, I'm trying not to put words in your mouth.
But I'm
We'll
gonna
put
do it
something
anyway.
there.
But you're not. Are you? Correct me. But I don't think you're as big of a comedy guy. Correct?
I mean, I am like, maybe not Ben Stiller's brand of comedy. Like he's 50-50 for me. Jack Black, I kind of got burnout on.
Yeah.
So this brand of comedy, yeah, you're right. Like I don't go out of my way to watch this brand of comedy. Like Zoolander took me probably 3 watchings for me to actually appreciate it.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Same director.
Yeah, I didn't really care for it, and I'm not a huge like Will Ferrell fan either. But
Mugatu.
I don't know. It did take me a few watchings, and now I do like Zoolander, and we might see a similar case here. But this isn't something that I immediately gravitate to.
That's my feeling towards Judd Apatow movies actually. So like Knocked
Yeah.
Up and Superbad.
Oh,
Those
that's
ones,
me as
Right.
well.
Yeah, the first time I watched
Yeah.
them, Pineapple Express, which actually came out the same year as this, same summer. Those take me at least 2 or 3 listens to, 2 or 3 watches to actually come around to.
Yeah. Guess what?
I mean, like Young Frankenstein or Blazing Saddles, like you could almost draw a comparison here, especially with kind of the irreverent humor and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the more classic comedy, I guess you could say, like Grand Budapest Hotel, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, I've never seen Pineapple Express.
If you liked Superbad and Knocked Up, it's kind of the same vein of humor.
And if you like watching marijuana humor, it's there.
Oh, there's a lot of marijuana humor.
I'm not in love with it.
My dad took me to
But-
see that with my brothers the week it opened, and I was like, "What are we doing?" And I haven't seen it since. You're not missing much.
It's funny how that summer we got 2 tropical titles like Tropic Thunder and Pineapple Express.
That was the same summer?
Yeah, they're the same
Wow.
They
thing.
both sound like strands of weed.
I remember rooting for Tropic Thunder to be more successful at the box office than Pineapple Express, and it was. So it made me happy.
Oh, yeah. Because this movie It's a masterpiece. Not to reveal too early.
But
We'll talk
yes,
about that.
to reveal too early.
A little bit. But
So, you guys ready to get through the story here?
Yes,
Want some?
Yeah, let's do it.
very ready.
All right. Hook-handed veteran, or wait, I should first say, so I pulled this story from Wikipedia, so don't be mad. It's
Leave
just
us alone.
Yeah, leave us alone. Get off my back. It's a good story rundown, and I'm gonna stand by it.
you know what's funny?
What?
After all this time, we only criticized it maybe a couple times, and we've stopped doing it. And now you're still saying, "Get off my back, guys."
I think it's our bit now. Like,
as
Yeah.
if you feel
yeah, stop attacking me.
guilty
Stop
in
attacking
some
me for
way
using Wikipedia.
still.
It's a very valuable resource, and we should support it. And you should be donating. You know that little donating bar at the top of the Wikipedia page? Patreon. Click on it.
Sorry, I'm donating to my college still because I didn't give them enough money.
That's not
a
donating.
donation.
That's them holding you hostage.
Oh, wait, yeah, I forgot about that.
for ransom.
For ransom.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this story. Hook-handed Vietnam veteran Staff Sergeant John Fourleaf Tabak's memoir, Tropic Thunder, is being made into a film. With the exception of newcomer supporting actor Kevin Sandusky, the cast, fading action hero Tug Speedman, 5-time Academy Award-winning Australian method actor Kirk Lazarus, rapper Al Pacino, and drug-addicted comedian Jeff Portnoy all cause problems for director Damien Cockburn, who cannot control them, resulting in $1 million pyrotechnic scene being wasted. The project is months behind schedule. Studio executive Les Grossman orders Damien to get the cast under control or risk the project's cancellation. All right, so this doesn't mention it, but the fake ads at the beginning of this movie, the fake ad and previews. First off, what was y'all's favorite one?
Oh my gosh, I'd have to say Satan's Alley.
Yeah, they kept ramping up
That
as
one-
you go.
I know.
because they were all amazing in
I-
different ways, but
I
Satan's
like-
Alley made me laugh the most.
That one was good, but I also like Tug Speedman's
Oh yeah,
Oh.
Scorcher.
Scorcher was,
Oh, that was
so
good, too.
good.
I actually like Fatty's Fart too as well because it reminds me of the
Eddie
Nutty,
Murphy.
Nutty
Eddie
Professor or Meet the Clumps or the.
Yeah, the Eddie Murphy playing every single character
Yeah.
in his family.
It
yeah.
actually looked like a real commercial.
Will that be all, sir?
what was he
In
saying?
some countries, they call that a compliment.
They consider it.
More beans.
There we go. Oh my gosh.
You're just jealous because I'm skinny.
I love Jack Black. But yeah, Satan's Alley is hilarious because you could imagine some pretentious director
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
making something like that.
And the thing is, their acting's actually
RDJ and
really good in
Tony,
the, strangely.
Didn't RDJ and what's his name? Spider-Man.
Toby
Tobey
Maguire.
Maguire. They had some kind of homosexual romantic relationship in another movie.
Yeah, was it Wonder Boy
Uh,
or Wonder
yeah, that.
Boys or something like that?
So, and I think Toby Maguire had to come in like last minute fill in for that bit, and he was there on set for like a very short amount of time, like 2 hours or something
Yeah,
like that. and
I think he
filled
did it
in,
as-
so it was kind of
I think he did it as a favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that immediately those trailers serve a certain purpose, whereas like a lot of people think of it as harkening back to Ben Stiller's show, where he would basically do a lot of parodies like that of other actors and other movies. But that one kind of immediately is to set the tone and let you know, like, this is kind of a parody of the industry, and these are the types of movies that you see. So you already know you're going into something that you're not expecting.
Yeah, this movie is all satire.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And to get this out of the way real quick, I watched the director's cut, so I don't know
yeah,
if that's relevant
we
or
all
not.
did.
we all pretty
Oh,
much
yeah.
watched the director's cut.
Okay,
Yeah, we're all
Yeah.
on the same page there.
gotcha.
So I read that Tug Speedman was based off of a young Sylvester Stallone, which you can tell he kind of has that same.
They
that same
actually
look.
referenced that with Rambo.
Well,
Yeah,
he's
later in
like
the movie.
wearing the bandana on his head. Yeah.
And Kirk Lazarus was based off of Russell Crowe, Colin Farrell, and Daniel Day-Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the last one? Jack Black was based off of Chris Farley.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Can see
you
that.
can tell with the coke addiction and all that. It's kind of almost offensive, but I mean,
When RDJ was originally supposed to have like an Irish accent or something, and he was more
Yeah.
comfortable with doing Australian.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is all like extenuated in these ads here. So you you kind of get it right from the start. I think it's smart to have these ads. It really sets up the characters in a way where you get the ensemble nature of the Tropic Thunder movie that they're making. So yeah, anyway, let's get into the actual movie. So we get opens on the action sequence, which I think is actually surprisingly competently filmed. Like, this is an actual Vietnam action sequence that looks the part, I think.
I think that's what caught me off guard when I was watching it the first time.
Yeah. There's a budget on this movie, and you don't normally see that with comedies.
Well, you can also credit Jonathan Toll for doing that, because I remember watching an interview with Ben Stiller, and he had asked him, like, kind of written to him as a favor if he could come in and work on the film, and he had never met him before. And usually he doesn't involve himself with movies like that, because he did Last Samurai. He did a lot of period movies.
I love that movie.
And you can definitely feel the Last Samurai kind of mood a little bit, that dramatic, epic quality.
Yeah,
but
it's cinematic. for
yeah.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
So this intro scene is outdoors, and he's apparently very good about lighting, outdoor lighting, and he knows his stuff.
Yeah,
so that's why it looks so gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really well shot. I was very pleasantly surprised. And I'm also aware that, I also learned that Ben Stiller's a perfectionist when it comes to directing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's very detail-oriented and has trouble, coming up with a final cut hit, because he's always, trying to find the best way to do something.
Constantly changing things.
Yeah.
I always love the fact that they put in so much money for just one little one big explosion just for like 10 seconds of the movie.
Yeah, this is a movie having its cake and eating it too, because the movie that they're filming, that the cameras weren't rolling for that explosion, but for us, we get to see the glorious explosion.
Yeah. And then they juxtapose that with Jay Baruchel's character, like, having his guts ripped open, and literally his intestines are literally grilled sausage and bacon.
Yeah.
Like,
and just angel hair pasta.
I just love how graphically over the top everything was.
Oh,
it was just
I think I can put it back in.
Jack Black's accent, though, was so funny. I honestly couldn't even do it if I tried.
I know, you can't tell half of the things that he or Osiris are saying.
It's like he sounds kind of out of breath, but he's got the... It's a character you've seen in war movies.
Yeah.
Noah did it yesterday, I feel like. Can you do it?
Well, he said he wanted to do that raspiness, and, like, I think Jay Baruchel's character is supposed to be raspy or something like that. And
yeah.
Jack Black was like, no, I want to do this. Like, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah,
So,
and he pulled it off.
Good.
they all brought their, like, own character and flavor to this. It worked out pretty good.
Oh, they're phenomenal actors
And this is
in this movie.
This is
even
before
though it's all
Jay
jokes.
came out as, like, a big actor, right?
Yeah, he was. He was also in one of those Apatow movies, I feel like, as kind of a supporting role.
He did that for a while. I think.
He was in Knocked Up for sure.
Was he in She's Out
or
of My
not
League?
Knocked Up?
No, that was his movie. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
he's in that movie with Seth Rogen and I think Katherine Hagel or
Heigl?
whatever.
Knocked
Heigl?
Up?
That is Knocked Up. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
That one.
So this is where we get our introductions to Ben Stiller, Jack Black, and Robert Downey Jr. What do y'all think? What do you think of that first interaction between Ben Stiller and Robert Downey Jr. The crying scene.
It's beautiful. I love
man.
I love the spitting and the.
So something that keeps coming up to my head is irony. The word irony always pops up with every single scene, and I think it's ironic that in a scene like that, the act of crying is almost equated to a pissing competition.
Yeah.
You know, because usually you assume crying as being non-masculine, but it's almost emasculating Tug Speedman here because he can't live up to
Just do it.
Yeah, and he can't be sensitive. So
so he's really forced into that position.
It's funny that it cuts over to Four-Leaf Tayback, played by Nick Nolte, who's like, "Were you crying in this scene?" He's like, he just shakes his head. So he technically didn't even need to cry in this scene.
So we're doing rewrites now. We're doing rewrites.
Let's make lemonade.
Oh my gosh! And Robert Downey Jr. We'll talk more about him, but so good.
He's
And a lot of- a lot
so
of his
good at it.
character can be credited to him
Yeah.
himself because he did a whole lot of improv for
I mean,
this film.
He went method.
Yeah, you couldn't do it today, but for the time, awesome.
It was right at the cusp of not being able to do
Yeah,
it. But I
today
sent a
it's,
video to the group where they did an entire backstory sort of like film of him just being in character with his family.
yeah.
Did you guys watch that?
Yeah.
It's insane.
No, it's not his
Well-
actual family. He goes out and pretty much adopts a family in some other country.
Oh my gosh.
And like is just kind of
They had him-
forcing them into submission.
Yeah, he was so committed to the method actor bit. Like they wouldn't be rolling film, and he would go to the bathroom on set, and they would still have his mic on, and he would still be in character going to the bathroom, like all the rest of the cast heard
I
him.
want to know what he was saying when he was
And-
in the bathroom.
He's
There's
I
a
don't-
point in this movie where he says, "I don't break character until I'm done with the DVD commentary."
Yeah.
And if you go watch the DVD commentary for this movie, he's in character
Yeah,
the
he's
entire
still
time.
in
Oh my
character.
gosh.
Yes.
And it's amazing. Like that. I'll get into that later, but that DVD commentary is almost like as good as just watching the movie
Oh,
by
yeah.
itself,
Oh,
just because
yeah.
it's like that, and it's great.
I know the blackface thing is kind of problematic, but this movie is entirely a satire, and there's going to be more stuff that would not play well today.
Yeah.
But
So-
they I don't know.
They did all that knowing that
Yeah.
it was all wrong, and
Yeah.
they kind of almost did it because of that for
Yeah.
a certain point.
And I'll compare it again to like Blazing Saddles. Like Blazing Saddles did the same thing, and it's still regarded as like, a benchmark in that kind of comedy and stuff.
Yeah.
And
After the bombs go off, we get the meeting with Tom Cruise's Les Grossman.
Oh my gosh!
So
Did you
everyone's
know,
favorite character, apparently.
Did you know that Tom Cruise wasn't actually supposed to be like that? He kind of was like, "All right, this is what I'm doing, and I'm gonna have a dance scene."
He was
So
supposed
if I'm gonna quote, he said to Ben Stiller, like, I want to have big hands and I want to dance. And Ben Stiller was just like, what?
he was
I want
also-
big hands and I want to dance.
I think he was also responsible.
well, him being in the movie was supposed to be a secret, and someone leaked
Yeah.
it. Like some tabloid leaked it, and they were
Yeah,
all
paparazzis. They're the worst.
yeah.
They spoil all the fun.
I was still surprised though because I hadn't read on anything about this when I watched.
Yeah.
He also so Ben Stiller was working on the script. He and Justin Theroux, but he was apparently like they're really good friends. He and Tom Cruise, and so he asked Tom Cruise as a favor to read it over and see what he thought. And Tom Cruise said to him, "Well, you're kind of missing the pressure from the studio. So you need this added concept to the story for them to be pressured into fixing this film and moving onward." And so he wrote a character, Les Grossman, and then Tom Cruise asked him, "Can I play this character?" Like he wanted to be in the film.
Didn't they want him to be himself or
great.
something? Didn't you say that? No, he wanted to be himself. And he's like, no, I need to be this ridiculous
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. I need to
exactly.
dance
He wanted
and have
him to
big
be
hands.
pretty much more like Tom Cruise actually was, but maybe a little exaggerated in some manner.
And they were
But
doing.
he was like,
Yeah.
"No,
he-
I need to be."
He had
this
to do like
ridiculous guy."
a little rehearsal or something, and he said, "Play some music." And they're like, "Okay." He's like, "I just want to dance," because he was in the full get up, and so he just started dancing. And Ben Stiller saw the footage and said, "Yes, whatever you're doing, that's it. You need
That's
to
it.
do
Apple
that."
bottom jeans, man. Apple bottom jeans.
It's so nice to see Tom Cruise not play Tom Cruise.
I
too,
know,
you know?
and he's so good at it.
I know. I like Les Grossman.
He was-
and
he
that
was
actually leads into what
one of my
this
favorite parts.
franchise kind of
Yeah.
would have morphed into. But we'll talk about that later. I like it how he's always like, Diet Coke! At the end of every, like...
The thing is, he's such
Coke.
obviously a bad person and executive, but you also can't help but like him. There's something about
Oh
him.
yeah,
Yeah. We also get a more introduction to Four-Leaf Tayback, played by Nick Nolte, who... I'm not even kidding. I think he's my second favorite character in this movie.
Yes.
Like, every time it cuts to him, he's just so, like... His comments are just off the wall and out of nowhere. And they're always so random. Anytime he says something to someone, it's some weird, like, saying that
Yeah.
no one has ever
No.
said
Yeah.
before. And they just kind of look at him
I
like...
could almost see Jeff Bridges in this role too.
Yeah,
I can see that.
I think
Oh,
he did a
yeah,
good
I
job
could see
too.
it.
Definitely.
But Nick Nolte, I think they sideline him for most of the movie, but I just love that scene out on the beach between him and the director, where he's just like and that was the intro to our podcast. But that just the things he says are just so ridiculous.
Yes.
I like how it's not just one thing; it's multiple things.
But at the same time, you could see some kind of crazy, weird veteran guy saying that kind of stuff too.
Spanking a child turns him into a little snot. Fear turns him into a man.
I think what's so clever about the way this movie is written, and you'll see examples of this throughout, there are so many characters, but they choose just the right sequence of characters to play off one another that creates the highest degree of comedy. So you get this kind of weak new director one-on-one with Nick Nolte, who's at first you kind of see him as a subtle comedic aspect because he's just kind of in the background. But once you highlight him against someone like Cockburn, you start to see just how funny he is.
Yeah. Nick Nolte's great. He's one of those characters that grew on me the more I watched this movie. The first time he's as you said, just a side character that says some weird stuff. But I've seen this movie maybe 5 to 7 times, and just he grows on me every time. What was that? AJ?
Yeah, and his rapport with Danny McBride really grows over time too, and that works out really well.
Oh yeah, that's. Well, I guess that would be going ahead, but I'm not gonna say it now.
On Four Leaf's advice, Damien drops the actors into the middle of the jungle with hidden cameras and rigged special effects explosions to film guerrilla style. The actors have guns that fire blanks, along with a map and scene listing. That will lead to a helicopter waiting at the end of the route. Unknown to the actors in production, the group have been dropped in the middle of the Golden Triangle, the home of the heroin-producing Flaming Dragon Gang. Just as the group are about to set off, Damien inadvertently steps on an old landmine and is blown up, stunning the actors. Tug, believing Damien faked his death to encourage the cast to give better performances, assures the others that Damien is alive and that they are still shooting the film. Kirk is unconvinced but joins them in their trek through the jungle. This is where the movie, like, it's already absurd, but it enters into like further absurd territory.
Yeah.
Where it's like any sane person would know that a living person just blew up in front of their faces.
Well, even watching this the first time, I was like, did he actually die?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I saw some, like, I can tell the difference between someone real and some like shenanigans, like a magic trick.
And then Tug leans into it and starts eating him, basically.
Yeah.
Blood flavored corn syrup.
Cannibalism.
Blood flavored corn syrup.
The irony is that he actually was holding a prosthetic that was latex in corn syrup.
Oh yeah.
This portion of the movie is a litmus test for if you're going to enjoy this movie or not. If you get on board with how absurd it is, and if you're willing to accept how illogical of a comedy this is, you're going to really enjoy yourselves. If you don't like things that are not logical, this is where you
so it's
abandon
like,
ship.
It's illogical, but at the same time, very logical. I think that another trend in this film is also kind of leading the audience a certain way and then changing up the narrative. Because you start off knowing, okay, yeah, they're trying to get this film done, and then there's a problem, and eventually we know that there's going to be some sort of character building. And then they set them out in the real life scene, and then suddenly it changes on you where, oh, the director just blew up. Now what?
It's such a great scene where it's just like you gotta go with this, guys.
Every scene is so unexpected too.
Yeah.
Even though you're expecting something unexpected,
that's the cleverness of it, is because so unexpected.
So unexpected.
The cleverness of this writing is that it keeps the audience engaged, because you could easily, by that point, start to lose track and kind of zone out, but they switch it up with literally an explosion in your face.
Yeah.
And you're left wondering, oh, wait, what's going on now? How is this going to change the plot?
I love how he punts his head at the end of that.
Look, I'm Dave Bacon.
I'm not afraid of death.
I'll also say the plausibility of having these cameras set up in perfect angles in the jungle to catch them is literally impossible.
Oh yeah, just the fact that we're like, yeah, we'll post cameras all over this area, and totally we won't run into all these people that were.
Or their
here.
guns have
Or the
realistic
mines on the
fake
ground.
bullets.
I know.
But whatever. That's what this movie is doing, though. It's like, yes, we realize we're self-aware of this ridiculous premise. Just go with it, and we're gonna make you laugh along the way.
Well, it's kind of pushing this kind of world's. I guess the word would be ignorance, because this whole production is basically they've only done a week of shooting, and they're already spending exorbitant amounts of money on parties.
Yeah, and they're already like 2 months behind or something.
Yeah. And so I just I think the fact that they landed out here where there are landmines, it obviously shows that they didn't do a whole lot of research on their location.
Well,
So
they didn't read
Shows
the
how
script.
bad of a director
but
Damien Cockburn is.
it's almost like a Team America, just come in, do what we want, and leave. So
He kind of is like that Team America type thing.
I'll also say, Ben Stiller's ripped in this.
Oh yeah,
Did y'all notice?
Dude,
I
I wrote a
was
note down saying
commenting
like,
that, too.
damn.
I was impressed. Like, maybe he's always been that way and he's just covers up, but
I feel like he's been in other movies where he's
He's usually pretty
jacked.
fit.
yeah, I was impressed though. Good job.
but they
Ben Stiller.
they showcase it a lot more in this. At least either
Well, I
that
think
or
even
maybe
RDJ
he
said
did
something about
wrap up a
that
little.
during the director or the commentary bit. He's like, "Man, you got pumped for some of these scenes." Like,
Yeah.
Well, it was even in the movie too, because his character came up to Ben Stiller and was like, "Yeah, it's like Rambo."
Yeah, he earns his young Sylvester Stallone leading man status in this movie. I guess.
Oh yeah.
or even like Chuck Norris in like Total Recall or something like that. And it's
Oh,
like,
it definitely.
and there's not still all that
does
stuff.
When Four-Leaf and Pyrotechnics operator Cody Underwood try to locate the deceased director, they are captured by Flaming Dragon. Four-Leaf is revealed to have hands. He confesses to Underwood that he actually served in the Coast Guard and has never left the United States, and that he wrote his memoir as a tribute. As the actors continue through the jungle, Kurt and Kevin discover that Tug is leading them in the wrong direction. The resulting argument results in Kirk leading the rest of the cast back toward the resort they are staying at, as an increasingly delirious Tug is captured by Flaming Dragon. Taken to their base, Tug believes it is a POW camp from the script. The gang discovers he is the star of their favorite film, the box office bomb, Simple Jack, and force him to reenact
Simple Jack.
it several times a day.
This would be rough.
First, we do get another classic line from Nick Nolte, and the line is when Danny McBride asks him what kind of gun he's holding.
Oh
he's like,
my god,
I
that's
don't
my
know what
favorite.
it's called. I just know the sound it makes when it takes a man's life.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh my
Anytime I try to
gosh.
speak like him, it makes me cough, and I don't even pull off his voice. But sorry.
You do a pretty good
I
job,
know.
actually.
So
Nick
as
Nolte.
good as
I
his
know.
lines are, though, I still have to give so much credit to Robert Downey Jr. and his portrayal of.
Oh yeah, that's why I said he's my second favorite.
Oh yeah.
I think Robert Downey Jr. is the star of this movie.
I think that a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but as good as Tony Stark is, I feel like that's just Robert Downey Jr. being Robert Downey Jr., and he's always going to be Tony Stark. But I think this is his best example of acting that I've seen personally.
Wow.
Just
Hey,
because
he was nominated for an Oscar for this movie.
I know,
I
and I think
am-
this is because this is really pushing the boundaries of acting, and he really had to
Yeah,
get
let's just
himself
flex
into
his
this
technical
role.
muscles.
Yeah, he's playing one guy playing another guy.
Yeah.
is what
Oh,
it
I
is.
know.
I honestly didn't know it was him the first time I watched it.
Neither did I.
He
I
really-
just thought he was. And I still thought he was really funny.
He just melded into this character, and he
Yeah.
did such a good job.
Anyway, he was not the biggest controversial element of this movie.
Oh, we all know.
That was the
Simple
Simple
Jack.
Jack, which
Yeah.
people did not. Okay, I know it's satire. They explain it as satire.
Yeah.
But you do, and it is funny. But you do feel a little bad laughing at some of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's done. I'm so conflicted because all the Simple Jack stuff is done so well. I can't help but
Let's
laugh.
try not to do any sort of quote from
No, I'm
Simple
not.
Jack.
That's why the intro to this was not Simple Jack related
Well,
at all.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I
it's
don't know, it
like
kinda
the
makes
director's
me
cut or
happy.
if it made it in the theatrical version. Some of it, like later in the movie, in my opinion, went on a little bit too long. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because not my sense of humor
So,
either. So
I think that this is one of those things where it's making a comment on acting and how choosing a role as far as playing someone that is mentally handicapped is kind of uncharted territory, and it can go one way or another.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
if
so
if
in this scenario, it turned out to be his living nightmare in
If you-
two senses.
well, and like
If you have to ask anybody
what
what you should do in this situation, ask Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Kirk.
yeah, and I think that
Never go
line, like
full-
you know, to quote the
whatever
movie,
that word
is
is.
"You never go full retard." Yeah, I think
There
that
it
he's
is.
actually making social commentary, like legitimately, like there's with the Academy, like you know
Yeah.
how it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was satirizing movies like Rain Man and Radio
Yeah.
and Forrest Gump, movies that are, I don't know.
And I think it's a problem with actors where they want to do that role because it's so challenging, and they're more trying to go for an Oscar win or nomination than they are trying to do it justice or accurately. So that's why I think this character is portrayed that way. It's kind of poking fun at actors getting kind of more into their egos than
Try hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm so tempted to quote some of the Ben Stiller lines in this, but I'm gonna hold back.
Refrain.
I'll hold back. So yeah, we get the that peeing scene between where both of Ben Stiller goes over to Jay Baruchel, cracks open the booty sweat, and then
That was so good.
Oh my god.
where they're both talking about the map.
Well, also the part that when I first watched it, the thing about it, watching it later, I never really thought about this, but is it normal for dudes to just pee next to each other?
We have to do it every day in the bathroom.
Well, I know, but that's a
This is
bathroom.
numb.
Like if you're out in the jungle,
I
are
I
you
don't know,
going
it's a
to
little-
stand
it's-
next
I mean,
to the
okay,
guy?
maybe
Yeah,
not if they're like all
And
those
talk
other
to them?
spots that you can go.
If I
I'd
didn't
probably
make
choose
one.
like 5 feet away or something like that.
Okay.
but-
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it was
yeah.
just so that
listen,
they just said
this
it-
is Vietnam. They have seen much worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had to do it so they could have those conversations.
I know, no, but that's the point. The thing is, they're trying to be surreptitious and just walk over to casually talk about, I'm going to take the map. But they did it in such a weird way.
I love Kirk Lazarus's expression when Tug goes over to Jay Baruchel and the when he cracks open
Pops
the
the
thing,
can.
it's like really loud. It's like
just
Just
a spray everywhere.
That's what it's like.
yeah. It was like that's not how people.
You know,
That's not how
they
that happens.
after this movie, they actually did have booty sweat as a product. That was a real thing.
Yep.
You can buy
Yeah.
that?
You could. I don't know. I don't think you can anymore, but you could.
It was
Yeah,
at the
promotional.
time.
Yeah, it was just it was promotional material.
Yeah.
So we get the panda killing scene when they split. When they actually, this is like kind of the movie.
Wait
I don't
a
want to
minute.
say it gets. I don't want to say it's not good, but when they split and Kirk Lazarus takes the map, I don't know. I feel like they were the movie was funnier when they were all together.
I
And when
disagree.
Oh, you disagree?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
well,
go
tell me-
ahead.
tell me
Go
why.
ahead.
I
Tell
don't know,
your.
I just
state
liked-
your point.
I liked the dynamic between Kirk Lazarus and Tug Speedman.
And
Like,
Tug.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So let me counter that by saying if it were Tug and Osiris together, Kirk Lazarus, he
Yeah.
has several names.
both
but-
resurrectional biblical characters.
Yes. If the two of them were stuck in the group, we wouldn't get to see the other characters shine
That's a very
at
good
all.
point, actually.
Because
Yeah,
it would
you're
just be two powerhouses playing together. And I think that's the point of splitting them up because they're going to have to meet up and through their trials understand one another or sympathize
Yeah.
to some degree.
Well, maybe a nice fix would have been maybe 5 more minutes of them together and then split them up. Because
Maybe.
I just like watching them spar.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
No, we get it later in the camp where they're talking to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's talking more specifically the two mains. And they have that and a couple other moments where they spar, but he wants a little more of that. However,
I can't blame him.
I like the split up of the characters because they have their own individual adventures and they kind of learn to love each other, not in a like intimate way, but
Tug Speedman is
but
kind of
from having that separation, you know.
Tug Speedman is kind of playing out this character that's still trying to find himself as an actor. So you know it's inevitable that he's going to have to lone wolf it at some point. And that makes sense as far as the plot goes, which is what separates this from other comedies. I feel like most comedies are strictly just for the sparring, which isn't bad. That's kind of the point of going to see a comedy. But this is also trying to combine a war film and something that's a little more introspective.
Yeah. God, he really is like Sylvester Stallone.
Yes.
I actually think Sylvester Stallone is a pretty good dramatic actor, even in the original Rocky. But later in his career, he's tackled some dramatic roles and succeeded in them when he didn't before. So, wow, interesting. But sorry for that aside.
No, you're fine.
But when they do split up, like it still progresses, and like Irina said, it allows each individual character to shine. Like, you know, Kevin Sandusky, like, or Jay Baruchel's character, they're trekking through the jungle, and they're all like kind of just, you know, ad-libbing. A lot of these scenes are impromptu, like, and Jay Baruchel's like talking about like Blu-ray versus HD DVD, and that's it's just like I kind of like resonate with him because he's just talking about, and then Osiris turns around and he's like, who are you talking to? And, it kind of
anyone that's
and none of them
really.
remember his name either, and so it's just I don't know. It allows each character to shine through, and I do see that side. of things.
From a logical standpoint, if you kept Tug there would only be conflict between him and Kirk Lazarus, and so the rest of them are just kind of left in the wings, really.
Yeah.
But once you separate them, they're all kind of aligning themselves with Kirk Lazarus anyway.
Yeah.
So then you start to see, like, as you isolate people, they start to form conflicts.
Yeah.
Once the big conflict is taken out of the way.
I'll say that for me, this is just for me, the isolation of Tug Speedman was more successful than for the rest of them. I enjoyed my time with Ben Stiller's character more as he goes on this like lone wolf type of thing where he kills a panda.
I have moved on.
And then he gets captured and taken to the POW camp to reenact Simple Jack. I thought that was a lot more successful than the others just trekking off wherever.
Speaking of that individual moment, that it really does cast a kind of actually a dark light on certain aspects of this because he's called by Rick Pecker.
And he says, bring him up.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to mention?
No. I was just going to say he deserved to be called out at this point because Matthew McConaughey did an amazing job.
Yeah. But that scene I'm talking about specifically, before I forget it, is that Ben Stiller says to him, or Tug Speedman says to him, like, I killed the thing I love most in the world. He's like, oh no, you killed a hooker or something. And then he says, quickly, you need to get some lime, and like immediately trying to help him cover up a murder.
I know. But that shows how good of a friend he is when you think about it.
What were you saying?
But you wanted to talk about Tug?
No,
I mean Pecker.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I just love that scene. Like, I feel like the whole movie, we haven't even talked about that sort of back and forth between Ben Stiller's character and Matthew McConaughey, where it's his his agent or whatever.
Yes,
and,
his agent.
Basically, Matthew McConaughey's character, his whole MO in the movie is to get Tug Speedman TiVo. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the whole
everything else he just doesn't care too much about, but then whenever you didn't get that TiVo,
I get it.
I love how stupidly loyal he is.
I know.
And the whole interaction between them talking about Tug trying to adopt a child, and then he's like, well, at least you get to choose yours. I'm stuck with mine.
Yeah, I think that part was in the director's cut only.
Yes. They chose.
Yeah. And McConaughey, I think, filled in last minute for Owen Wilson was supposed to be in that role.
And I'm actually really glad for that too.
Yeah, this was actually during the some people refer to as the McConaissance, when Matthew McConaughey was coming back.
He's all hot stuff now.
He dropped the romantic comedies and was starting to do more dramatic and different, fare.
No more failure to launch, I guess.
Yeah,
dabbling a little here.
Also,
and there.
in that scene that we're talking about with him in that phone out in the jungle with the panda, that kind of transitions into a major part of the plot that we didn't really talk about, I think, in the main overview, which was they think that he is being stolen from another agency in Vietnam, where like Flaming Dragon he misinterprets as this other agency or whatever. So
I think literally the next paragraph on Wikipedia is about to go over that.
Oh yeah.
Dang it.
I guess I should do that. I actually don't think it is, but we'll get into it. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Tug's agent Rick Pecker Peck, his name is Pecker, so confronts Les over an unfulfilled term in Tug's contract that entitles him to a TiVo. Flaming Dragon calls during the discussion and demands a ransom for Tug, but Les instead delivers a profanity-laden death threat. Despite the threats, Les expresses no interest in rescuing Tug and is instead happy at the insurance payout that would happen if Tug dies. He attempts to convince Pecker to play along by promising a Gulfstream 5 jet and lots of money. I like this
Peter
scene.
Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Yeah, that was hard to talk through. But I like the scene because it shows, in retrospect, Pecker's loyalty to Ben Stiller, because he was like, "Oh, that includes a plane," because he was going to go fly and get that TiVo to him.
Yeah, which is awesome.
You think he's just like
he's so weirdly lovable.
It's amazing.
But then, of course, Les Grossman. This is like the big moment for him.
And lots of money.
He has such like weird swagger in this scene.
So
this
strange.
This is another one of those movies where Tom Cruise is able to not make you think he's Tom Cruise. You just see him and you're like, oh, that's Les Grossman, and it's amazing, but you're also blown away by the fact, it's
his
Tom
character
Cruise.
is so good because you just take one look at him and you know exactly who this is. The way he's dressed.
Big
you just,
business.
and you love the details of seeing the sweat in his armpits, just always sweating in his armpits.
The matted fur, chest hair.
And the way he dances is so white, but he's confident in his whiteness.
Yes.
He knows
and
what he's doing.
he probably has an ex-wife
because he's got
somewhere.
money, so he can pull it off.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that you also get Bill Hader with him,
yeah.
back and forth. It really does emphasize Tom Cruise's character. I love it.
Yeah,
Bill
with the
Hader's
little
so good.
diminutive Bill Hader.
Well, Bill Hader's character, just stereotype of the producer, yes man, psycho fan,
Yes.
suck up to the studio kind of thing.
Oh yeah, kissing butt.
And then his dance.
It's just the best.
And his little head swivel.
I think it's Noah's favorite part of the movie.
It's honestly one of my favorite parts.
Oh yeah,
it's
big dick
great.
baby.
and like speaking of that, it closes out the film with him turning on the music by himself and just starting that dance again, and then the credits are rolling, and it's just the best.
Oh yeah.
Thing.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Tug's agent Rick... Oh, I already read that. Sorry. Kirk, Alpha, Jeff, and Kevin discover Flaming Dragon's heroin factory. After witnessing Tug being tortured, they plan a rescue attempt based on the film's script. Kirk impersonates a farmer towing a captured Jeff on the back of a water buffalo.
Oh, this scene.
Distracting the armed guards so Alpha and Kevin can infiltrate and find the prisoners. But a combination of broken Chinese and inconsistencies in his story sets off the gang's boss. The actors, knowing their cover has been blown, begin firing, fooling gang members into surrender. Their control of the gang falls apart when Jeff grabs the leader and heads for the drugs, and the gang, realizing the guns fire blanks, recover their guns and fight back.
So Robert Downey Jr.
Acknowledge that I'm getting through these paragraphs pretty
Yeah,
decent.
that's
are.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
There's no nonsense fantasy words.
Or Swedish.
Or Swedish.
But yeah,
Zodanga.
can we also acknowledge Robert Downey Jr., who plays an Australian man playing a black man playing
An
Asian man.
Vietnamese.
I loved his scene where I didn't realize he was actually going to do all of that in another language.
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah. Well, also the way he was describing things too. I just
my
loved
rice
reading
paddy.
the captions.
I found this white devil in my rice.
Little Ant King.
So before we get to that one, let's talk about that night that all the members have together to kind of sit around the fire and have a little camaraderie.
Portnoy withdrawals.
Oh gosh, yes. So
You got a little someone, yeah.
Lance.
Lance.
I said Nance.
I said it. And then Jack Black's like, you unchain me, I'll suck your dick.
Pretty much
We don't have to
nothing
go
in there
into the
that we could talk
details,
about.
but-
It's just
the worst.
inappropriate, but
if you've
hilarious.
seen it, you know. Anyway, I thought that was a nice moment, and it does mirror a lot of movies like this where they're almost kind of treating it as a suicide mission sort of a thing, where, you know, tomorrow is the day, this is our last night. What are you guys like? What are your homes like?
Finally
What's
learning
your
about each
family?
other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's also great is that they are all just these, snotty actors pretty much, except for Jay Baruchel's character.
Yes.
And they all decided, all right, we're going to save this guy even at the risk of our lives.
There's something about this film where it like exaggerates the things you hate about the celebrity life and the way the kind of the pompous nature of everyone. But even then, even though they're dumb, even though they're conceited, you still find them endearing, each one of them for different reasons.
Jeff Portnoy's plan.
Yes.
Catapults and shoot us over the wall
With underwear.
and then parachute down.
And everyone just looks at him and then
They
completely...
just turn around.
And he's like, okay then. Well, fine. And I think, honestly, the whole thing with Jay Baruchel, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
He's definitely the audience surrogate, I feel like, in this movie. Where
He's a straight man.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Where he just constantly is what you expect to be thinking in the moment in this. Like, what?
And he weirdly
Yeah.
becomes what defines Tug Speedman as the lead character. He's someone who cares because he's the only one that remembers his actual name
His
Yeah.
name.
in the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
So
none
he-
of us can seem to do.
Yeah.
I forgot.
It is Kevin Sandusky.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, then we get the big old action sequence at the POW camp, which I thought was again competently shot. With comedic moments thrown in. I like that they had the purple haze in the background,
Yeah.
just to kind of emphasize that kind of Vietnam kind of the vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the CCR.
Yeah.
And this scene, it really blends, like, you still have the, like, comedy where Al Pacino is literally, dual wielding M16s, and literally holding them sideways, like ghetto style.
Yeah, four-leaf
And then
has
you've
a
got
flamethrower
Osiris
at one point.
and
Yes.
Sandusky clearing the house, and, like, Osiris is still in character, and he's like, going full tactical, like, you go low, I go high, and they're, like, taking it seriously, even though they have blanks in their guns, and it's, I don't know, it's a good mix of the silly and the serious, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of which, I love the psychological argument between Tug Speedman and Kirk Lazarus when they come face to face, where Tug Speedman is completely like brainwashed by
yeah.
the people here, and they're both kind of analyzing each other.
Yes.
I know who I am.
And then at the end of it, Kirk Lazarus is like, I think I might be nobody. That's when he reveals
The dudes are
like his-
emerging.
Yeah, the dudes are merging.
yeah, that was fun though. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
What was the thing where Jay
I gotta
Baruchel
say-
walks in on that?
Huh?
I was gonna say, I gotta say that RDJ, blonde and blue eyes, I don't know, does something for me.
yeah.
It's really creepy. But also in that moment where, they're doing that back and forth, and then Jay goes up to Ben Stiller and is like, all right, are you in? Are you out? I don't even remember what he says, but it's something extremely incoherent. And he's like, oh, F it. We'll figure this out later.
Just leave.
And just grabs him.
There's this dramatic pause, and then he just says
He's like,
something
I don't have time to
nonsensical.
reprogram VHS or whatever, something like that. And it's like,
Oh yeah, that's right.
that was Osiris saying that, and then Jay's like, all right, we're going. Like,
The four actors locate Four-Leaf, Cody, and Tug, and cross a bridge rigged to explode to get to Underwood's helicopter. Tug initially remains behind, believing Flaming Dragon to be his family, but runs back screaming, chased by an angry horde.
And a little toddler stabbing him in the back.
Literally.
Four-Leaf destroys the bridge, rescuing Tug, but as the helicopter takes off, the gang boss fires a rocket-propelled grenade at the helicopter. Rick unexpectedly stumbles out of the jungle carrying a TiVo box and throws it in the path of the grenade, saving them.
It's the best Deus Ex Machina.
The crew return to Hollywood, where footage from the hidden cameras The crew return to Hollywood, where footage from the hidden cameras is compiled into a feature film, Tropic Thunder, which becomes a major critical and commercial success. The film wins Tug his first Academy Award, which Kirk presents to him at the ceremony. Yeah.
That was it.
Yep, that's it.
Hey, so what was that about?
we completely skipped over the child actor, Brandon Suhu, who played the crime lord.
Such an amazing
I thought he did
kid.
excellent
really
for how young he was.
Oh, yeah. And he hadn't done anything before this. This was his first
Really?
First encounter with film.
I think Ben Stiller kind of took him under his wing and really kind of partnered up with him, and it turned out well.
Yeah.
He
Like,
does
it wasn't
such
one of
a
those
good
child
job.
actors like, oh, this is terrible, like, get over with this scene. It was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved
he
every
really,
scene
he
he was
really
in.
fell into the role.
I love that scene with a short round, or was it short? Did he call him short round or half something?
Half squat.
Little half squat.
Back line or something like that.
Half squat.
I have a son.
Half squat.
His name is Half Squat.
I love that scene with half squat just stabbing him in the back, running
just
across
repeatedly.
the bridge. The way he flings him off, though, into the
Yeah.
I'm trying to think
Yes.
of what that reminds me of. It's very slapstick almost, where
It
it's like
actually-
obviously supposed to look like
The style of
not real.
the kid being thrown off reminded me of Anchorman when
Oh,
Baxter
yeah.
was thrown off
Yes.
the bridge.
It totally was that.
Punted off the bridge, actually.
Yet at the same time, it was kind of cool how like they mirror the movie, like the intro and then this ending scene is all parallel.
Yes.
So it's still cool that within a comedy, they're still kind of doing that artsy side of things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there's
they-
also they also get into the psychology of Tug Speedman's character, where he has that argument with Osiris or
Lazarus.
Kirk Lazarus. And they're talking about method acting, and he's saying never go full retard, and he's like messed up, and when you go method, it's such a high or whatever.
Yeah.
And so after they separate, you can tell that Tug Speedman's character is trying to go full method in his role, and he's just trying to get really into it, and it keeps that kind of plot of the characters going while it moves along.
It's
actual
cool
plot
because
as well.
Yeah, you're right. The Kirk Lazarus seeing Tug Speedman go full method exposed to Kirk Lazarus how flawed his way of going about acting is, because he saw how distanced Tug Speedman became from how he really is.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's
actually a genius movie.
Yeah. Again, we already said it, but seeing Rick Peck throw the TiVo and block the missile was
It's
so
just
funny.
the best.
I love how he just after that just runs off into the
I know.
jungle.
It's like, I guess he'll be fine.
Well, to be fair, he's
We
probably
do-
about to get shot at by a bunch of
We
people.
do see him traveling back in a plane, so he
Yep,
must have
yep.
been fine.
Oh, and we also get the classic Jack Black line in slow-mo. My ass!
I loved that part.
I
That
love
part
the
made me
slow-
laugh so
I love
much.
the slow panning of everyone
Yes.
just it's so serious. Everyone's hurt and
Yeah.
frantic and everything.
Yeah.
He's just on his back, just grabbing.
I remember when we were watching this Noah last night, and you're like, wait, I love this scene. And we both had to intently watch that moment. But we honestly haven't talked enough about Jack Black in this because
we haven't.
Holy cow, he's hilarious.
He really is funny.
My jelly beans.
I honestly think he kind of got the short end of the stick in this movie. I really like.
He definitely had more of the physical comedy. Like he was tied up, like over the water buffalo. Like he was in uncomfortable positions physically, and kind of had to endure that stuff. So
I just don't feel like they used his talents to the greatest of their ability. He gets a couple of great moments, and he actually gets a character arc that is fulfilled. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But out of the three main leads, I think he's the weakest of the three.
That's fair, but he's definitely a step above Al Pacino and Jay Baruchel.
Yeah,
as good as they are.
It worked out for me because it toned back what I don't care for in Jack Black's. Like, I don't know. Like I liked Nacho Libre, but I can't watch it anymore. I don't know why. That's just me. That's a personal thing.
I haven't seen Napoleon Dynamite since it first came out, and I still think I like that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It toned back the parts that were too over the top for Jack Black for me. Mm-hmm. And so I thought I appreciated the balance that he put out here. But some of the things like the physical comedy, like he carries the M60, the heavy machine gun in this movie, which was nicknamed the Pig in Vietnam. In the
apparently the other actors.
And then his character's the Pig. And go ahead.
Oh no! Apparently the other actors thought he actually wielded it like he wielded it like they thought he knew what he was doing.
Yeah. So I don't know. A lot of that kind of lined up, and I appreciated the balance here, and just sometimes I think he can be over the top, and I liked seeing him in maybe a secondary role. Personally.
Yeah.
I feel like if it was somebody else though, that this character would go completely unnoticed, and the fact that Jack Black was doing it, he went over the top, which made you appreciate the character even more. So even though he's overshadowed by other people in this movie, I feel like he really does shine still, because otherwise it just wouldn't go noticed.
Yeah.
And he even has a line here, and he's like, "I hate movies," something like that. And I feel like he was like speaking from the heart, from personal experience too. And I can actually appreciate Jack Black as a musician almost more than an actor.
Oh yeah.
So
apparently he's trying to get out of acting at the moment. He's kind of done with it.
Yeah, he's doing YouTube now, isn't he?
Jablinski Games. It's not even gaming. It's just Jack
him.
It's great.
All right, that wraps up our Tropic Thunder story. We'll see you guys on the other end, where we review this movie and talk about this franchise.
Yay.
Yeah. Bye. Welcome back. We're going to talk about this movie. You guys ready?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I always say this, but we've been talking about it. But we're going to review it, and then we're going to talk about this franchise. So, David, do you have our bowl?
I do. Have.
You do?
All right. Bowl.
Here, I have it right here.
So, first, so what we've got going on here is we have our scores. They're written on little pieces of paper and put in a bowl, so we don't adjust our scores based off how the episode has gone so far.
And try to look cool later with a more appropriate score.
So we've got them all mixed up in a little bowl, and David's going to pull one, so go for it.
Alrighty, let's see. Who's number one? David. It's me this time. I gave it an 8.
Oh, all right. Okay.
All right.
So I don't know if... I have a feeling this is still going to be on the mid to high end, but I thought this movie, as far as comedy goes, one of... I guess I don't know if this translates other than gaming, but this is S tier for comedy. This is top level comedy for me.
Top tier movie, 8 out of 10.
That's like 1 point higher than Mummy.
It's harder. It's hard to rate comedies. I feel like we've talked about this.
Tomb of the Dragon Emperor?
Yes.
Yeah, Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
We have to
Can we go one episode? Can we go one episode without talking about
No,
this?
we cannot.
No.
That's our thing. No. So,
Gotta keep
David
you
gave-
humble.
what was it that you gave Tomb of
Why do you ask me? Why don't you just say it?
No, what was it that you gave the Tomb of the
The Mummy Dragon
The Tomb of the
Emperor.
Mummy Dragon.
the Mummy Tomb of the
I don't
Dragon
remember that
Emperor?
movie. I gave it a 7 the first time, okay, and then I gave it a 5 later, or whatever. I don't know, something like that.
But in the record books, we got it as a
Rewatchability
7.
factor, David.
Okay, you know what? I'm new to movies and podcasts. Okay, leave me alone.
Hey,
I don't know
but
what I'm doing.
When were you born? I'm new to movies, guys.
Hey, at least Tropic
Didn't you
Thunder.
work at a theater?
Yeah, you always say
This is
that.
not working in my favor.
Hey, at
all.
least Tropic Thunder was 1 point above this.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Okay, but seriously, comedies are really hard to rate.
Okay.
And I feel like people talk about that a lot. And that's why they don't get a lot of fame, you know? I feel like when it comes to this movie, they have all the best actors to do what I want out of a comedy. And they touch some sensitive topics, but they do it so well that I'm trying to think of another comedy that I can compare to it that is just as good. And I know there are some, but this hit me in the right spot when I first saw it, and ever since I've watched it 2 times and 3 if we include watching in the background now. But I could watch this another 2 times before the week's over, and I would still be happy. And maybe that's the rewatchability factor that I always talk about. But this movie really, really is good.
So versus Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, I feel like this movie actually has rewatchability.
Yeah.
100%.
And do you want to adjust that 8 out of 10?
No, I'm good.
No?
All right.
You're going to stick with 8?
Yeah, I think that 8 is a very respectable score. That is a really good movie. There are a few comedies I feel like that are going to be above an 8.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So I guess we should move on. Let's see. I'm going to grab this one. If I can grab one. Hey, I got it. All right, next one is with a 6.5.
Ooh.
All right. Do explain.
So, kind of like I introed that this kind of comedy isn't really down my alley so much.
Satan's Alley.
And I don't know, it's hard. Like David said, that comedy was hard to rate, and me watching this by myself kind of didn't really do much for me as far as like laughs go.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe something's wrong with me. I don't know.
Or, well, maybe you...
Definitely,
Yeah.
there's definitely a social aspect to be talked about with this, at least for me. Like, talking with y'all about this movie, like, I enjoy the experience of this movie in a social context more than just by myself.
This is a movie, it
And,
does feel like you
know,
need to watch with somebody.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's kind of a big factor for that. And there is a rewatchability aspect of it that kind of surprised me. Because on first viewing of this movie this past week, like, I actually had scored it lower. And then I went and rewatched it again because I knew that so many people respected this movie that there was something that I had to be missing. And maybe I needed to approach it from maybe more of an objective lens versus subjective.
Yeah.
And then also I went and listened to the commentary track with the whole movie playing, and that had Robert Downey Jr. in character, which was amazing. And Ben Stiller and Jack Black all doing the commentary while the movie played. And that actually put it in a very different perspective for me and raised things up because it allowed me to appreciate more of the technical aspects of the production.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And stuff that I didn't like. That's kind of what speaks to me when I critique a movie, and that I probably brushed off just because of, I didn't really give this a chance just because of the kind of brand of comedy it is.
Yeah.
So there were things, and maybe it was up in the director's cut, but like me, the character that spoke to me most was Jay Baruchel, and he's kind of the straight man. He's supposed to relate to the audience. He's not crazy.
Yeah.
But some of the laughs that, other people might be, laughing hysterically at, I probably didn't elicit much of a response from me. And that's just kind of my personality. So it's hard. I did bump this up more because I do appreciate what Stiller did in directing this and his meticulousness in finding set locations and all the effort that went into this. And some of the best parts of this movie I ended up learning that were ad-libbed, or they were all improv.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of cool to see. And it really highlighted the caliber of the actors in this production side of things. So
yeah, Robert Downey Jr. had a lot of improv in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think, I really recommend that y'all see or watch the movie with the commentary on, because it really puts it in a new light. If I can appreciate that, I think most other people would too.
I was gonna say, like, that's something that I feel like more people need to hear about, as far as getting out of their comfort zone and things they think they're not gonna like, or go and think, with a preconceived idea, and then watching the concept as it's going from the people who made it. You always appreciate things more when you hear how things are done.
Yeah.
And that it puts things in perspective. And you are a prime example, because I can see why you would associate yourself with Jay Baruchel, because you are that more analytical side. But if you can put a comedy like this at a 6.5, I think that is amazing, honestly. It's awesome.
Amazing.
It's so good.
Yeah, and I would say that even as I'm watching it again now, it's playing here, it's muted, but like just looking at the scenes, and they did it's a comedy. There's stupid aspects of it, but then there's things that they did pretty well, like artistically, the cast really melts together. Like I'm very close to bumping it up even more than I've already come up on it, and it's like it probably just needs to be one of those titles that has to kind of sit with me.
Yeah,
and I bet you that if I had seen this sooner and it had marinated longer with me, I might be a higher score. So who knows, like in the future, by the end of this review, I might bump it up more. But as it is now, just because of the fact it's not my particular brand of comedy and I watched it by myself, that's kind of where I'm coming from, that low end here.
Totally fair. So, David 8, AJ 6.5.
Nice.
Draw our next one.
All right, coming up. Seriously, Irina? Seriously? Are we doing this?
Yes, we are.
Irina gave this movie a 10.
Hey.
What?
First 10? Really?
10?
This movie is a 10 for me.
Whoa. Oh, this is a franchise killer. You made history in this
It's a first, isn't
Well,
it?
no one did a 10. Twice, I think.
I did 110, and that was in Master and Commander.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
That was a 10?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, he had 10
great.
for Master and Commander.
Oh, wow. Sorry. I don't know how I forgot that.
It just seems kind of intense on this one.
All right.
I want to hear it. I'm...
Let me explain why. So I've always thought it was incredibly unfair that comedies couldn't break through to the top numbers. And I could understand why, because you just don't feel like you can grant something like Pineapple Express a 9 or something like that when a movie such as John Carter spent billions or something trying to create their work of art. So I feel like comedies are often kicked to the curb already just because, it's just cheap entertainment. Yeah. And this one is by no means cheap entertainment. He went to great lengths for every detail to be as perfect for comedic effect and just enjoyable to watch. Like I can't step away from this movie. Now I can put it in the background just because I know what the story is, and it kind of just puts me in a good mood. But I feel like everything was done so well, and the story was portrayed very accurately. Like they just, I don't know. There's a lot to organize, and Ben Stiller organized it in the right way. Mm-hmm. It could easily get convoluted and confused.
That's his perfectionist,
yes,
coming through.
And he brought together a group of actors that all work really well. They all have good chemistry. He made sure they all kind of had their screen time with certain characters to provide the most comedic effect between those two. I think visually it's great. Technically it's great. Let's see, there was one other thing I was going to say about it. I just believe he had a goal with it, and he really expressed it the way it was meant to be conveyed to the audience, which was me. And
his vision was intact.
Yes.
It was achieved.
I believe any movie that sets out on a certain goal and perfects it to the degree that they wanted, and you can tell it's been conveyed, deserves a 10. And that's why I think this is, because it's one of my top comedies.
Would you say that there's any other movie, or do you think this is the top comedy?
the top comedy.
I mean, a 10 is a big number.
It is. I honestly think if someone were to ask me what's your favorite comedy, this one would probably pop up into my head first.
It's in the conversation for sure.
Yeah, and I think Ben Stiller, like usually his comedic work, like I love Zoolander, but it's sort of one note the entire time, and all of the actors in it are comedians. Like everyone pretty much is a comedian in that movie. So you get just this sort of 2D world, whereas in this one, he's pulled people like Robert Downey Jr. and Nick Nolte and has created each individual character's unique persona and background, and that they're all kind of varied. So I find that really incredible, actually.
Yeah, to comment on that, most comedies are just kind of like, all right, what kind of stereotypical story can we get these comedians together to crack some jokes that at each other's expense? Like, and they're always just these kind of cheesy, not like oh, that's a funny joke, but
they always seem like
all staged.
They always seem like a group of friends got together and just told jokes.
It's all grown up.
This is the end,
and I've never been a huge fan. Okay, This Is the End is one of the ones that actually
like that movie.
that actually does it right.
But it is a similar vein of that.
But the point of that is that This Is the End has an actual story that's driving it, rather than we're just together and cracking jokes.
I actually was reminded of another probably top comedies that I would say, like, this is my brand of comedy. This is a 10. For me, Shaun of the Dead is also a 10.
Oh, of course. Of course.
I think it's because they broke ground in comedy in a unique way, where like usually people, like Noah said, kind of go for the same stereotypical
it's hard to break
dynamic.
ground in comedy.
Do you think we could talk the Cornetto trilogy?
That's interesting, though.
Oh, that's what I wanted to do, but I didn't know if we could.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do those 3 movies.
It is technically a dead franchise in a weird way that we could talk about.
I say in the future.
What franchise?
What were you saying?
The Cornetto trilogy, so that'd be Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and At World's End.
Yeah.
Yes, I love those movies.
Yeah.
They're so good.
What were you saying, AJ? Earlier?
I said it's interesting that you put Shaun of the Dead and this movie on the same plane, because I appreciated Shaun of the Dead on my first viewing, whereas this one
Not
obviously
so much.
I didn't as much.
Yeah.
But if I could ask Irina, you give this a 10, is there anything that you think this movie could have done better?
I do think that Jeff Portnoy's character is a little diminished as far as what his purpose is in the plot. Like you can kind of explain it, but
his character arc is just to get over this drug addiction.
Yeah,
pretty much.
But it's also and he's somewhat furthering the plot. But if you took him out, he's not entirely necessary.
Yeah,
he isn't necessary.
I could say the same on Al Pacino almost more than Jeff Portnoy.
Although I will argue Al Pacino is necessary because of Robert Downey Jr.'s character.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's kind of the grounding,
right?
Kind of rationalizing that.
What do you mean, you people? What do you mean, you people?
Yes, exactly.
You want to draw the next score, David?
I guess.
Yeah, 10.
Is it going to be Noah or Reese? Let's find out. It's Reese with an 8.5.
Yeah, I'm going to stick by the 8.5, honestly. I think what Ben Stiller does here is incredibly impressive. This is one of the few comedies that has an actual, like, huge production behind it. And it's a movie that is executed, to almost perfection in every single scene, where you get actually competent action sequences, well-rounded characters. I do want to say that I love how Ben Stiller gives, and a writer, Justin Theroux, gives every character, almost every character, a actual arc.
Yeah.
Even his, more minor characters. So there.
In other movies, it takes like 5 films or like 3 seasons to do what he does in 2 hours.
He's a wizard,
and it really works too.
He pulls it off. My only issue with this movie is just the midsection, and I know you guys liked this, but the splitting off of Tug Speedman and the rest of the crew, I just felt like it lost some of the crackling chemistry that they had before that.
All right, so do you mind if I interject? The thing about that, though, is that if you take away that separation, you lose that whole banding together of this ragtag team to go save the other that they
I get that.
know.
And that's true. This movie's already long. It's 2 hours long, which is long for a comedy.
Yeah.
But maybe give me 5 to 10 more minutes of them together, just, back and forthing, just sparring. I really like the adversarial, I don't know, but between the adversarial conversations between Tug Speedman and Kirk Lazarus, that those are just their interactions were fire for this movie, and when you take that away, it's just I don't know. It for some reason it just doesn't work as well for me when they're not together. Even though I love the Tug Speedman scenes where he's
on his own.
Yeah, I really like that stuff. But I feel like the rest of the group, they're just like, oh, we're journeying off, and they have random conversations about PS3 Blu-ray players. And
I don't know, man. I actually really like.
I know you like that.
I think it was good that way. I don't think I agree with Irina. If they stayed together, it would have been a one-note movie. And the way they did it really did develop the rest of the characters.
No, I agree with you. I still agree that they should be separated at some point. I just would have liked a little more time with them together.
All right.
Make this movie longer. I don't care. I love these characters. I love spending time with them. I don't care if it's longer. It's already good. Mm-hmm. Anyway. Tropic Thunder. Really liked it. It's one of my favorite comedies. You're right, though. AJ, you're right. It's hard to judge or rate comedies. You don't know whether you should hold it against all other movies or if you should have it in its own little bubble.
Yeah.
Against just
and I think,
like,
just talking it out, honestly, kind of puts things in context for me a little bit better. I'll bump mine up to 7, and that's not just kind of fitting in because y'all are high.
Yeah.
That's honestly my opinion because... appreciating the production side of things, the behind the scenes, Stiller went to some effort that this feels like a Vietnam film. I actually watched Platoon this week too.
Yeah.
And they're very different movies tonally, but both of them you feel like you're in Vietnam, like even down to the even the weapons they're using, all the rifles, like RDJs holding an Ithaca 37. Like these are all weapons that they used in Vietnam.
Yeah,
the things in their helmet that are strapped in, like their patches.
A lot of details.
Just the effort that they went to, and still are finding, like going out personally and finding sets, and it just talking about it. I feel looking back that I said a lot of positives that I didn't really account for.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just because some of the bits, like the killing the panda, and then some of the, the simple Jack stuff, that humor doesn't land with me. So that's why, I'm not rolling over laughing for this whole movie. But I can appreciate the production side of it.
Yeah, I like that it is more than just a comedy. There's other things going on in this movie. There's actual character development.
You're right. And if I had to pick a Jack Black movie to watch, I would pick this movie.
That's cool.
Even though he's one of the minor comedians in it.
Well, he's a major comedian. He's just
I don't hate Jack Black, but I would watch this movie again. I just with the caveat that this is definitely more enjoyable if you're watching with other people.
Oh
yeah. So
for me personally,
overall, I like the ensemble. I like the story. I like the attention to detail. I still have slight issues with the midsection of this movie splitting up the characters, and I feel like it detracts from the momentum of the plot. I was just slightly less invested in the midsection of this movie, and I think there's some some insensitive commentary going on, but other than that, the production value is high, and it is one of the best comedies out there. I think this will stand the test of time. I just really like this movie. I just can't quite give it as high a score as some of you guys.
But when I was actively trying to look for problems with it while I was watching it, and I quickly realized that throughout each sequence, I couldn't find a fault with it. In my personal opinion, I just kept like kind of commenting on things that I liked. So, oh well.
It was a hard one to do that.
I'll stick with my 8.5 for now, but it's a wavering score where I feel like
I'm on the same wavelength.
Comedy is always hard.
Yeah, it is really hard. I think 8.5 is justified.
Yeah, and obviously I'm going to stick with my 8 as well, just because of the fact that it was my knee-jerk reaction. I mean, hearing everybody talk, it makes me want to bump it up, but because of the fact that I honestly believe that this movie has very few faults. I feel like there are other movies out there that comedy-wise just touch a tone better for me. Mm-hmm. But because of this movie, I feel like other movies that do things similar to this still don't hit the same note. So this obviously did something different.
Yeah.
I'm talking way too much already after the fact that I already did mine, and we have one person left.
Yeah.
So who do we have? All right, I'm just going to preface this by saying I was waiting on Noah to write his score down, and it was taking longer than I feel like it should have. I'm like, man, what are you writing down? And I see that he wrote multiple things down on his sheet. Just makes a little bit more. Only a little bit. So he gave it 2 scores. Luckily,
That's cheating.
No, he
cheating.
He identified it well.
Okay.
He wrote comedy score a 10. Overall score, so that's his final score, is a 9.5.
All right, so we'll stick with the 9.5.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Because the reason for that is that as a comedy, it's the perfect masterpiece. But as an overall movie, you have to compare it to, well, Master and Commander, Lord of the Rings, all these kinds of movies, I have to say, hands down, I would pick both of those over this.
That's our whole comedy predicament here that we're having.
But I absolutely love this movie. Yeah. And it's up there with my top 3 comedies. It's Tropic Thunder, Grand Budapest Hotel, and At World's End.
Very fair.
Good comedies.
Yeah. So those are my top 3 comedies of all time. I love, love, love them. And they're all kind of different in tone.
I want to fault you, but I can't. Like, honestly, I can't. Like, those are 3 amazing movies.
Yeah, but I absolutely loved them. And I think all of those deserve 10s in that book. I'm not going to say anything more about them. But yeah, beautiful movie. I agree with Irina. I disagree with Reese. That's about it.
Give it a good score.
That's about it.
Yeah,
I know you.
Yeah, but it doesn't deserve any criticism.
Wow. Okay.
Even though he is like right in the middle.
What about AJ? He's the lowest.
Yeah, he's wrong too.
Well, it comes down to preference too. Like I said, with mine, I thought this was amazing. I can't find a fault. It's just it doesn't strike the right tone.
Yeah, that's actually yeah. I'll say or AJ in this situation. I can understand him because it's less his kind of humor.
Yeah.
But for you, it's your kind of humor, and you're criticizing.
Well, there are other types
of the
humor
movie
that I like better. I should say,
and that's
now,
fair.
If this wasn't an ensemble cast production and it was just the usual Ben Stiller cast, like, would you think this would be as high as it is?
No, it required everyone that was in it.
It's like all the components that are put together,
right.
and it was put together this way for a reason. So
yeah.
It is very different, though.
Something I've noticed about my top 10s is that it's almost serendipitous because they did plan things out. For instance, like Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings is he did have an idea, but it took essentially an army to make it what it is. And I feel like this movie did too, where obviously it's Ben Stiller and Justin Theroux's writings that they constantly were bringing back to each other to make this film, but it required everyone else involved giving it their all to make it kind of a top tier film. Because if it was only Ben Stiller's direction and writing, then it probably wouldn't live up to the number I gave it. But I just think that sometimes top 10s are almost in a weird way accidental. It's just a weird lining of the planets.
I know what you mean, actually, and then the way you say that, I feel like it comes down to the actors who are involved put 110%, every single one of them, who they all have to be 100% involved and passionate. Where, like, Lord of the Rings, every person who was in it stayed up all night working on it.
They're basically overworking themselves.
Working themselves over.
Boromir climbed an actual mountain.
People breaking toes.
Because he was afraid of helicopters. That sounds like a Reese thing to do.
I would do that.
That is a Reese thing to do.
No. See, you'd think that, and then you'd think, oh, but what about the CO2 of going up too fast?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Mr. Panic.
See that? So I think this movie is worthy of a 10 because you have to, at least from my perspective, approach it as a comedy and what it's doing in comedy. And I think that it went above and beyond what it really actually was asked to do. So,
are there other 10 comedies for you?
That's tough. Holy Grail?
Actually,
Monty Python,
I could do
Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, The Odd Couple.
yeah.
Those are all really good comedies in my opinion.
I'm noticing a trend for you.
But
Yeah. It's tough. I'd have to think about it. I really like Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
Airplane,
Hot Fuzz is brilliant. Well,
I don't know.
The thing about Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead was they were also doing something different as far as technical filming. The way frames were set up and everything was actually really, really cool.
I'm just gonna say the movies that we all put into these top comedies, I should say, we have very, very specific styles. I should say, like you said, Noah. You said Wes Anderson, who has a very specific style.
Yeah.
The Hot Fuzz series. I don't remember what we called those. What was it?
The Cornetto.
The Cornetto. Those have a very specific style. We also have the Monty Python side of things, and then what you said was
the stoner comedy.
No. Oh yeah, stoner
Mel
comedies.
Brooks
Mel Brooks. That's
type.
exactly it.
Yeah.
That's the one I was going to say. And those are all
Although Grand Budapest Hotel is up there for me too.
Oh yeah.
exactly. But those are all. I'm just saying, like, all the ones we named are ones that are a part of very specific franchises that have a very unique style.
Yeah, Office Space. I mean, comedies. It's a rabbit hole. I'm not gonna go any further.
When you think
you're
about
right.
it,
Comedy is very subjective.
It
is
is
what you're saying.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, all the ones that we've kind of named are almost kind of have the directors have some sort of vision for them that they want to achieve with it. I mean, although I don't know if I could say that for Mel Brooks really, but
Mel Brooks was awesome.
I feel like
yes, Mel Brooks is awesome. I just don't know if he had a real vision for the movies.
I think the reason that
did?
these ones like these are so good, and all of those comedies you guys just named, I definitely think are top tier comedies. The reason they're set aside from the ones that we usually see is because I feel like a lot of comedies out there are just glorified skits. You know, like they took something from SNL, turned it into a film. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's enjoyable. That's entertainment. But I feel like these kind of branch out into what could potentially be a little more critically acclaimed as a comedy.
It boils down to depth, really.
Yeah.
This whole conversation, this discussion is really making me want to go through all these comedy movies now, which is something that you don't think about very often.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to watch Budapest Hotel for.
Are y'all ready to go into the, franchise?
Before we do that, I am just one thing I wanted to say was that these were really high scores, and I feel like, I don't know, this is just one I didn't expect to be this high.
Yep.
Really?
And so, well, I mean,
It's because of the stigma of comedy.
That's the part. Is kind of a loophole, and I was going to loop into Andrew on this one, asking him where you, like, you're the numbers guy, you're kind of the extraordinaire in this department. Where do we fall with this movie?
Averaging here, looks like with our final numbers, our average is 8.6.
All right.
Which lands it at fourth place
among our movies so far.
This is total. This is including our older podcasts that aren't, kind of on our modern number trend here. So that puts it, let's see, give me 1 second. So right now, Master and Commander is number 1, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is number 2, Hellboy 2, Golden Army is number 3, then we have Tropic Thunder today at number 4, and then Dread behind that at 5.
Nice.
Those
that's
are
pretty much
on
agree
our
with
older
that. Yeah.
series.
That sounds good to me.
That's a good top 5.
Yeah.
So, if we're going with our new kind of numbering system here with the new equipment and everything, then it's actually our number 3.
All right. Cool. I'll take it.
All right.
Y'all ready to talk about this quote unquote franchise? Y'all ready to talk about it?
Yeah, I won't quote you on that.
Okay, so this movie, actually, there was a spin-off intended for this.
Ooh, yeah.
With Les Grossman.
Which would have been awesome. But
It's weirdly still in conversation. There's still talks about it, but I honestly don't think it's happening because Tom Cruise is really living it up as the action star right now. He's filming I was about to say Tom Cruise 6 and 7, but it might as well be called that. But a Mission Impossible 6 and 7.
It's interesting to hear, like, when I was watching the DVD commentary, how even RDJ and Stiller and Jack Black.
Yeah,
I mean, they're big names, but they're still talking about Tom Cruise with like veneration and reverence. Like, he's definitely like top of the creme de la creme.
Yeah.
And even Stiller reminiscing about working with Tom Cruise on his production. It's like, that's kind of a big deal. So
yeah. So
it'd be cool if they did kind of spin off into something with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'll read a couple of things. This first excerpt is from IMDb. This was the spin-off idea. Cruise reprised his character Les Grossman for the 2010 MTV Awards. On June 9th, 2010, it was announced that a spin-off film would be developed centering on Grossman. A script has been written by Michael Bacall. In March 2012, Bacall gave an update on the long-rumored Les Grossman spin-off movie, revealing that the film will attempt to uncover where Grossman's well-documented anger issues originated.
Yeah.
I can't believe how
That
far that
sounds
went. So they
amazing.
actually had a script for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is from Looper. At one point, the Grossman spinoff even had a script from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World's Michael Bacall, who said it was an R-rated film and a pretty heartfelt story. The project eventually
I could
stalled.
get into that.
The project
Scott
eventually
Pilgrim is one of
stalled.
my top films. So
Yeah. The project eventually stalled, however, thanks in part to the career resurgence of Cruise after Tropic Thunder, with the actors starring in Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol, Jack Reacher, and Edge of Tomorrow. So, yeah, that obviously still has not happened. A Les Grossman spin-off / sequel to this.
That would have been
I
amazing.
really
I
want
also
one.
feel like they kind of have studios kind of weighing against that. I don't think the studio execs are as easygoing to let themselves be criticized or kind of characterized like that.
Well, that ties into what they were even sort of commentating in this entire movie, or people have talked about after the fact, where could you do a movie like this nowadays?
Yeah.
I think that you could, because these days it would be seen as extremely political and that it meant to be. So people would actually almost rally behind it.
The sequel to this movie that I would love to see is I love Jack Black, but you can drop Jack Black. I would love to see Ben Stiller and Robert Downey Jr. go forward after Robert Downey Jr., who's Kirk Lazarus' character, admires Ben Stiller's progress as an actor in his Simple Jack play. They decide to pair on a new movie.
Oh, gosh.
I feel like that would be the direction for a sequel in this.
That would be great.
And include Les Grossman still. But, I don't...
Lazarus could get another Academy Awards. He's already broken the real world record of 4, and he's got 5, so he could even go for 6 in the end.
So, yeah, obviously that didn't happen. So let's talk about this movie's box office. How do you guys think this movie did?
Budget.
All right, yeah.
All right, I want to also just say, are we doing worldwide total?
I'm gonna do worldwide predictions from you, Noah.
In total?
We also
David,
need budget.
Arena?
We need budget.
Budget? Okay, the budget was $92 million.
All right. I bet.
And that does not include marketing.
Does not include marketing.
Noah.
No.
I bet it made 400 million.
Wow.
That's I'm
370.
I'm just gonna tell you, you're
370.
You're
That's
above,
my guess.
I bet. I feel like you're above.
I might be above, but that's my guess.
I'm gonna go ahead and just segue to mine now, because you said, how much was this? 90? You said. I'm gonna guess 200.
Okay.
You're probably right.
Irina, money.
Money.
3 water buffaloes.
Speak up, Irina.
Money.
AJ.
200.
200.
Wait, that wasn't that mine?
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
say slightly different than David's. Do you want to go up or down?
250.
250. Okay. All right. So, Irina, you were the most correct with money.
Whoa.
Oh.
Man.
I win every time.
No, worldwide, this movie did 196 million.
Hey.
Shut up, David. I'm going to kill you.
Nice,
David, you probably looked it up.
No, I did.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You're fine.
I honestly took your tips for doing this.
All right.
honestly.
No.
I had a lot of faith in this one. Okay.
If they
Normally, I guess a double, but
Well, the thing is, Reese said, I'm just going to say, the way that Reese sort of explained this to us as we're getting into this, because he is really the guru behind box office, honestly. You can't beat him in a competition. We can't do it. And so what he taught us is that when it comes to the budget, if you're going to get a sequel, you need to roughly triple your budget. And if you're going to be successful but not quite get a sequel, you're going to want to double it. And then I was thinking, okay, well, this one had to have, with this cast, at least done well.
Yeah, so
but not triple it.
The exception to the rule, and I call this like the Mad Max Fury Road rule, which Mad Max Fury Road didn't triple its budget back from in terms of box office returns. But if a movie is well received, but it doesn't quite, triple or double its budget, there's still a hope for a sequel because people want to see more. So in this case, Tropic Thunder, well-received movie, didn't quite triple its budget, but did pretty well. So there was talks. They still have talks for a sequel to this movie, but
well, all these actors are still big, except for Al Pacino. Ironically, not the Al Pacino you're thinking.
Brandon T. Jackson, I think you're talking
Yeah.
about.
I thought RDJ said he wasn't really on board with it.
Yeah, he's not on board. If there were ever to be a sequel to this, it would be the Les Grossman type, whatever they had in mind for that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be
Spin-off.
like...
I can see people pulling in Robert Downey Jr. if we got the full cast and somebody like Tom Cruise roped him into it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
honestly-
if they can get Robert Downey Jr. to star in a Doolittle movie, which looked awful, you would hope that they could get him for a sequel to this. but
might have been awful. I didn't see it. But
I haven't seen it yet either.
But-
I heard it
didn't
wasn't
review well.
great.
Regarding sequels, I actually think any sequel to this, unless it was a vision by Ben Stiller, would kind of fall flat.
Yeah.
It kind of ruined the point of this one. So that's why I think a spin-off with Les Grossman would have been a perfect way to continue the war.
I just want to see what that would look like.
I know.
Yes, AJ?
What might even be cool is Jay Baruchel's character, since he was kind of the novice actor in this. Now that he's been around the block, he could, kind of come full circle on the sequel.
That'd be an interesting...
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
And maybe Les Grossman could be like his somewhat mentor that's trying to prep him for primp him up and get him to be the next big star. So
Yeah. Oh, that'd be a weird...
I know.
That's
Yeah.
a weird but interesting sequel idea.
That's a spin-off right there.
I know, but it would be amazing.
I want you to star in these animated dragon movies.
With Sean Connery?
No, Jared Butler.
Oh, okay.
I think this was pretty much doomed to not have follow-ups, or at least successful follow-ups, just because this was an idea that Ben Stiller had for about 10 years. Mm-hmm. Because he was in Empire of the Sun and got the idea from being on set about the way the actors were. He's been working on this
for a long time, actually.
So I think because he had spent so much time thinking about this and working on it and rewriting it, I can't see another movie living up to that basically backlog of information.
Unless he actually had something in his mind for a sequel.
Yeah, but
that
I don't
he's
think
been
he did.
sitting on.
I actually think
know.
I read an interview where he said, he was asked, like, will you do a sequel? And he said, no, I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
So-
Well, he also got the most backlash, though.
It wasn't just because of backlash. He actually just didn't think he could top what the first Tropic Thunder did. Because that was
fair.
the ultimate expression of that character. And how do you build on that?
Take it
Not
in
to
a
have another
nutshell.
Lord of the Rings comparison, but Peter Jackson was essentially forced to come back and do The Hobbit, but he had decided, no, I'm not going to do something like Lord of the Rings again.
But
then he had to.
Well, they were like, well, we're going to get someone else
and
then and do it wrong.
Everyone knows it's lesser than
I hope we
Lord
get
of the
to
Rings.
talk about Hobbit at some point.
You know,
Yeah.
we're going to, and it's just going to be, if we are successful, and hopefully if you are listening right now, and we have lots of you listening right now, that you guys will be asking for it, because we have to do it, but it's going to have to be a while from now.
Now that Christopher Tolkien has passed, I mean, we might get something in the future with the, kind of the prequel stuff, Silmarillion source content.
Amazon is,
if you're in that kind of stuff.
Amazon is working on a huge series apparently. So
They just fired everybody though.
What?
No,
What?
What? No,
yeah,
they didn't.
They did. They just fired everybody.
I have to fact check that.
Hold on.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this just for the sake of this.
Yeah, no,
'Cause
they
that's a
like
big
I
drop.
was reading an article and apparently Amazon fired all of them and they're gonna continue with maybe the actors might remain the same, but the writing staff and
No way.
and everything, yeah.
No way.
So
I would've
season
heard
2 is
that.
gonna have a
Still
completely.
says it's a rumor.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it's a rumor.
All right.
All right. Okay. Let's.
Fair enough. Rumor.
Let's wrap this episode up with the critical reception of this movie. Do you think this film was well received by critics and audiences?
I think it got a buku load of supporters.
I bet it was like half and half on people like fans or audience wise, but I bet if I recall, I think it was well liked critically.
Oh, really? I haven't looked at the score specifically, but I was gonna guess the audience was gonna be higher than the critics substantially. But I guess we'll see.
All right. So Rotten Tomatoes critics gave this film an 81%.
Well, I'm gonna lose this one.
Yeah, audience 70%.
I knew it.
Obviously, you didn't know it.
No, but the second he said that the
Yeah.
critics were over
Got
80, I was like, oh no, I lost
Got
this
it.
one.
Metacritic critics 71 and audience 7.3, and IMDb, which is just audience ratings, a 7.0 or just 7, I should say.
Okay.
So yeah, good reviews. Good, not amazing, but good to great reception all across the board. I honestly think that is a very safe,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
secure score for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can't complain with it.
I mean, I think it's definitely overall well regarded in hindsight. That's what kind of I alluded to, is I knew that people told me I needed to see this movie. And, most people I think would say in the general audience that I'm crazy for, not appreciating it as much as I do.
You're not crazy.
But,
Everyone
yeah.
has different,
very different
brands of
tastes.
comedy. So
It's that's just understood. Everyone has a different style of comedy.
yeah, so that wraps up Tropic Thunder. I think most of us were pretty positive on it. Actually, everyone is positive. It was more just a different variations of positive in this case.
Oh yeah, like you said, everyone has different brands of humor, so
Yeah,
It's
this
a hard
is
one
not going to
cover.
fit everybody.
I think this is a happy ending type episode, though. It's not. I don't want to say this franchise was killed. This is a perfect standalone film. It didn't need a sequel. I'd be interested in seeing a sequel, but I feel like it ended on its own terms. There's still talks of a Les Grossman follow-up, which I'd be open to, but I wouldn't be heartbroken if it didn't happen.
It's kind of perfect in its own little framing,
Yeah.
So I would say this franchise ended on its own accord. Which actually, I kind of have an idea that we should pull forward, or at least start doing. Do y'all want to say at the end of these episodes if this was a successfully ended franchise or not? I guess.
Yeah, give it a pass or a fail.
Yeah. So was it a franchise success or a fail?
Honorable death or dishonorable death?
Yeah. Honorable death or dishonorable death.
I think it's
so,
honorable.
Seppuku or landmine.
All right, we're going to have to not make new references for what we're going to call this.
Yeah,
what
so
are we calling this?
Tropic Thunder, honorable death or dishonorable death? What do you guys vote?
Honorable.
Yeah, very honorable.
Honorable.
Honorable. I would also guess.
Across
I
the
would
board.
also say honorable. So yeah, honorable death for Tropic Thunder. You can watch this and not feel bad about it not continuing on because it lives on perfectly as its own thing, and it doesn't need.
need anything else.
Yeah, it doesn't need anything else. So I would say this is a successful end to a potential franchise that never happened.
And as Drew suggested, watch the commentary and special features.
Yes.
Please.
Oh, yeah, it's great. You can get this movie super cheap, so if you have access to it, find Tropic Thunder, watch those special features, watch the commentary, watch the director's cut. It's a great movie. All right, so closing out, you can now find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, wherever you listen. Subscribe to us or follow us if you like us. And
if you want to see cool images, check us out on Instagram.
And if you don't like us,
share with your friends.
Yeah, just type in Franchise Killer. You'll be able to find us wherever you're at. So, I should actually announce our next film that we're talking about. It's going to be 28 Days Later.
Zombies!
Yeah.
That's appropriate.
Yeah, so, it's kind of...
Nope, 8 days off the podcast.
Kind of inspired by the whole virus that's been spreading around.
Wait, which virus?
Oh, the cornhole virus.
Cornhole virus,
Cornhole
man.
virus. I got a bad case
so
of that.
Don't play cornhole.
Wash your hands, Noah.
I do.
Yeah, so stay tuned. 28 days later, 28 weeks later following after that. All right, goodbye.
Bye.
Toodles.
Goodbye.
Bye, AJ.
Peekaboo, I see you.
What?